Well, good evening, Denver Bronco Roundup and Denver Bronco fans. It is the Denver Bronco Roundup podcast. I am your host, Keith Brugman. I've got a regular full OG cast with us this evening. We've got the Albert Mile High Dutchie. We've got Trevor, the Rocket Van Salzman. We've got Jody, the Judge Moncrief. Again, we are brought to you by Rocky Mountain Sports Network. Check out Rocky Mountain Sports Network for all your Colorado sports needs. So, wow, guys, here we are. We were just talking to me right before we got on the air. End of the season is abruptly now upon us. Jody didn't get that big of a chance to jump on here post game. Albert didn't get that much to see the game that much, but got to see the stat line a little bit and understands what this game was. This last game was. Honestly, it was the end of an era and the beginning of an era for all intents and purposes. No more news, I guess, is keeping us on the same track that the Russell Wilson era is done in Broncos country, done in the Mile High City, and we moved on, maybe for the first time, at least for this season, to Jarrett Stidham leading the Denver Broncos. Nothing impressive, gentlemen. Nothing that would lit the world on fire. I know that a few of our friends over the K&K Sports Show was wanting 300 yards and 3 touchdowns and a huge explosion as coach finally got his quarterback, Jarrett Stidham, into the game. Wasn't to be, but it did end up being a win. Unfortunately, all for naught, as we did have playoff hopes to start the day. It ended up being, like I said, a win in the face of a playoff possibility, unfortunately. So, Jody, man, I know that it's been a while. The judge is coming in, and I know he's probably got a few things he'd like to talk about. But let's talk about this last game and what we saw, what we didn't see, and what the future may hold.
In my opinion, we definitely didn't see the future. If we want a bright future, we didn't get the spark Sean Payton asked for. I've seen a lot of checkdowns still. Take away one incredible run by little Jordan Humphreys, and it was just a game. Didn't really do anything on a depleted defense that's given up, a defense that just gave up 60 to the Raiders. But to be fair, there were things that you didn't see from Russ. Peyton did run some more routes across the middle. Things I didn't like, why this game we committed to running the football so much. We've all begged for that all year, and we didn't get it. We all agreed that that's what made put Russ at his best, and we never got that. And Stidham's first game out, we come out and run the ball 30 plus times. But as a Broncos fan, we got to win. I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing. If you're in the quarterback market, you can be on both sides of the fence. There's the one side, trade everything to go up and get your guy, or you can be on probably the side I'm on. You have limited assets as it is. You've got a lot of holes to fill: middle linebacker, defensive line. You need a number 2 cornerback. You need a tight end. You probably need wide receiver number 2, possibly number 3. Maybe a running back, a legit running back. Hopefully Williams comes back next year healthier, because he's just not there right now. Under 4 yards a carry. He just doesn't have the breaking tackles like he used to.
Vision.
Running into guys. McLaughlin just looks a lot sharper. There are things that he lacks, though, pass protection and stuff. But so Denver's got a lot of work to do. Are you in the camp of one Caleb Williams or Drake May away from carrying this team, or can a Michael Penix or JJ McCarthy with weapons carry this team?
Will be the question, man. Once again, like we talked about, we'll be talking about more offseason here quite a bit, man. It's right up around the corner. And obviously, for the Broncos, it's once again important. And we're talking about very important positions. I did want to hit the comments just really quickly before I get over to Dutchy and then come around to Trevor as well. So, our good friend Kenny Kirkpatrick coming in and saying, "Good evening, all. Hope you all had a good new year. Here's to the 2024 season ahead of us all." Michael Ronquillo coming in on Facebook saying, "Good evening, Keith, Jody, Albert, and Trevor." And by the way, Kenny, yes, I did have a good new year. It's finally becoming a healthy new year, which is what I'm kind of excited about. Feel like I've been sick for about a week to 10 days, and I'm finally coming out of it. So yes, 2024 is looking up finally for Keith. So good evening again, Michael. Appreciate the big orange and blue hearts always coming in here. Always a fantastic supporter. Roger's coming in here and saying, "How goes it, boys? Hope all is well. Hope all is well with you as well." Again, happy New Year and off to a big start, right? Let's do it right, guys. Roger says, "I'll try to be a little nicer this time." Don't worry about being nice, man. We're big boy feelings over here. We got our calluses, man. I think we'll be all set to go. Michael saying Aaron Rodgers sticks up for Russell Wilson today. Maybe we'll hit that a little bit as well. Pearl says hello to us all, and got to say hello to Pearl, fantastic supporter. Pearl, the onion rings worked. I think that we were talking about onion rings the last time we had you on here, and onion rings got us a win. Wasn't pretty, but it got us a win. And other than that, yeah, let's bring it around the horn. Albert, like I said, I know that you weren't able to tune into it all, but you get the gist of it. We've looks like a turning of the page. We need to find our new quarterback. We brought in the spark plug, but it seemed like that spark plug might have a little bit of tarnish on it. Didn't really fire it up like a lot of people were expecting. What are your thoughts? This game, Stidham, the future. What do you got for us, Dutchy?
Well, I saw the highlight of the touchdown from little Jordan Humphreys, and I think that was the best moment of the entire game. So I think I got the best of the game that afternoon.
Mm-hmm.
And the rest, yeah, it was. It felt like uninspired from what I hear, uninspired, and from pretty much from both sides. Also from the Chargers side. The Broncos did what they needed to do. They won. You can at least say they swept somebody for
That's
the year.
true.
So that is a good thing. And hopefully, coming Sunday, they can tie with the Raiders and win a game then. It's going to be probably difficult, but yes, for the rest, the Russ story might not be over yet. We don't know what is going on. They might do contract negotiations, and that Russ will work with the contract. That those rumors are going too, and there are other rumors going too that the cap limit could change dramatically because if Josie Jewell is gone, he might see a contract of somewhere up for 2 years, 12 million and 7 guaranteed. Those are the rumors. So I think it would be a loss for the Broncos if Jewell is gone. But other than that, I had a very good weekend.
Well, good, buddy. Good, man. It's funny, obvious. Well, it's not funny, but here we are at the end of the season picking up wins, and it's not satisfying in almost any capacity. We don't get into the playoffs. It doesn't help our draft position. We're heading into just absolute pandemonium, craziness, unclarity, that's for sure, as we head into this off season, and it's right around the corner. But here's the Trevor coming in, trying to clear it all up, man. Always has a clear thought on what his thoughts are. What are your thoughts on this game, Stidham, the future? And then we'll get into a few other things.
Yeah, I mean, this game wasn't exactly the highest scoring game possible. I can agree with Jody that We've seen a lot of the similar things we would see with Russell Wilson, and the only difference was with Stidham was he's able to throw in the middle of the field, which Russell Wilson, we shouldn't be surprised. Russell Wilson doesn't do very much. So, I looked at the heat maps and all that stuff, and that's what they suggest. So here's the thing. Again, my biggest concern and in this game and going forward is the running game. Then you haven't went over 110 yards in 4 weeks on the running game. 101 yards against Chargers, 83 yards running on the ground against the Patriots, 83 yards on the ground against Detroit, and 106 from the Chargers when we played the Chargers in LA before. Got to have a running game, and yes, that's when Russell Wilson was at his best. But you got to have a running game regardless. I don't care if Jared Stidham's the quarterback next season. You got to have a running game. What was the biggest difference in the first into the second half? Denver was running the football efficiently, more efficiently than in the first half than they were the second half. You see, that's why you seen the offense start to stagnate in the second half. In the first half, they weren't. You scored 3 points total in the second half against a Chargers that has a really bad passing defense. They are towards the bottom of the league in pass defense. So and in yards, and so that's just a concern for me going forward. Again, I don't think Russell Wilson's the problem. I don't think Jared Stidham necessarily helped his case to be starting quarterback one next season. His QBR was 31.3 in this game. I mean, he wasn't exactly where he should have been. Easton Stick outplayed him. Easton Stick's QBR was 52.3. The QBR rating, I know this is just one little stat in there. Normally, average is 50.
Correct.
So Stidham was below average in this game. So I don't think he helped his case at all going forward. Now, we'll see what he does against the Raiders. He deserves that opportunity to see because we need to see what's this offense, what's the problem. Again, I don't think Russell Wilson is, but is Jared Stidham the answer? I don't think so. And I think, honestly, if we're going to next season with Jared Stidham as a starter, I think it might be a little bit of a rough one next year if that's the direction we go. Got to bring in some sort of competition to help help your quarterback room because Jared Stidham, I don't think, can be the answer of this team going forward. I think he's a decent backup, but starter, I would push back on that.
All right, I want to hit the comments real quick. Kenny says bring him back as a backup, and I'm okay with that, but no way with Mahomes, Herbert, Raiders most likely drafting a QB. You can't go with Stidham and expect to be near those teams on offense. Kenny, of course, from the fantastic K&K Sports Show. Check those guys out as well. Michelle, I'm not getting your profile, but that's okay. Evening, gents, she says. Happy New Year. Evening to you, Michelle. Appreciate you jumping in here as well. Always a fantastic supporter. Jeremy's coming in saying, sup, fellas, go Broncos. Go Broncos is right. We're always going to support guys. We might not always have the nicest things to say, but we're always going to be supporting our Denver Broncos. So Patrick's coming in here and saying, aloha, gents, and aloha to you, sir. Thank you very much, by the way. A little Lion coffee in the cup as we speak right now. So I'll hit a few other comments here. I think this is I'm gonna bring this up. I used to really listen to Mark Schlereth. Used to love his diagnosis when he was on camera, but sometimes takes a little bit far. Think he's looking to get the clicks, get the likes these days. I don't know if Mark Schlereth said this as Jeremy Dressler said, but I will quote what Jeremy Dressler is saying
no, he said
Mark Schlereth said it. If it was Russell Wilson, he would have been sacked 7 times in that game. I'm not going to go with 7 sacks. Just not going to happen. Now, would he have possibly taken more sacks than Stidham? Yes, that's a possibility. Russell Wilson does try to extend plays. He does hold the ball a little bit longer. He does try to make things happen. And sometimes, yes, he does end up taking sacks in those instances. So I'm not going to completely defend 7 times. But yeah, I could see there being more sacks in this game from the Denver Broncos offensive line and or quarterback with Russell Wilson in there. I'm not going to completely refute it. So Rogers coming in says half rebuild, it sounds like, as far as maybe where we're heading. Patrick saying Aloha Broncos universe, with our Bronco verse. I apologize. Pearl's coming in saying the last game was just another game, not exciting. Stidham is not the answer. So David Slade coming in here and saying, evening fellas. I think the relationship is damaged beyond repair. And I think that's what we all need to come to the conclusion of. I think if anything outside of that would be a surprise. And you guys can speak up if you think that's different, but I think we should all go under the assumption that Russell Wilson and the Denver Broncos will be parting sometime between now and March 13th, if I remember got the date correctly. So
No, but I have a question though.
okay.
Someone said last night Rome wasn't built in a day.
Correct.
And that is correct. But in 5 weeks, how can you say Russ is not the answer? Don't you have to give that time? I mean, if the reports are true, he really
what 5 weeks are we? Oh, the first 5 weeks of this season?
6 or whatever it was.
Okay.
After whatever 1-5, whatever it was. And they came to Russ and said, adjust your deal or we're going to bench you. Are you not giving it enough time, or if you pre-made your mind up already?
Well, I would say
and I go deeper into where do owners, they already knew that this deal was here.
Mm-hmm.
How did Sean Payton duke somebody into tricking them into, oh, you have lots of money, we'll just eat it. You're this great. You can make any quarterback work. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I understand it's more than just Russ, but also we just paid this guy. You need to make it work with him. If you don't want that, then move on.
Yeah.
But we've committed to that to eat $87 million. I mean, that just is hard for me. Billionaires don't become billionaires eating $87 million.
Okay. And I agree with that. Like I said, if it was up to me, Russell Wilson would have played out this contract, first and foremost. Secondly, I don't think asking someone to push the date on a contract isn't the worst thing. Threatening them to bench him because of it, maybe not the right way to go. But you talk about 5 games. He has an 11-19 record. He came in, let's ride, and personal offices, and went through in a terrible season with Hackett. He comes in for the first 5 games of this season, doesn't do anything else that puts him on the map as being an elite quarterback or somebody that can run a Sean Payton system. His QBR is the worst it's been since 2018. He's had a record of going in the wrong direction. And I think when you trade picks, when you pay as much as you do for a coach like Sean Payton, you have, let's face it, you set up yourself for a huge dichotomy and split right down the middle, because you did the same thing with Russell Wilson. You brought him in, you paid him a lot of money and put a lot of eggs in that basket, and then turn around and hire a coach that may or may not like him. So now, as a ownership group, you have a decision to make. When your coach says, this isn't the guy, I need to go a different direction, do you say, no, I'm sorry, coach, go back to the drawing board, this is your quarterback, and go on the side of the quarterback? Or do you go, sorry, quarterback, we're going to do it with what the head coach says, and we're going to go that direction? You set yourself up for a big failure as far as the Denver Broncos organization. Now you just got to live with it.
That's where I'm at. Like, are you, in one hand, it's great having rich owners, but in another hand, it's bad having rich owners that don't know beep about football. Because I think Sean Payton came in and sold them this, and this, and I can win and we can eat. They knew I can eat $87 million and make it work. Well, we're about to find out, because I think he has one win over 500. I think he's 15-16 without Drew Brees. So we're about to find out. Can he do it? When has he ever? He's never drafted a quarterback.
He hasn't had to.
No, but yeah, when Breeze retired, he never developed really a quarterback. So we'll see. I mean,
but for years he had no reason to draft a quarterback. I mean, I wouldn't have. That's like drafting and making sure that Mike Shanahan drafted someone behind John Elway. Just wasn't necessary at the time.
But it's just like up in New England, who made who?
That's a good reference. I like that, buddy. Sounds like Trevor wants to chime in. I'll give Albert a chance after that as well. Trevor, go ahead, man.
So what I was going to say is, I think as soon as the Broncos went to Russ's camp, whoever it was, again, Sean Payton's in this, he can lie all he wants about, I have no part of this. Bull, you have a ton to do with it. That affects your performance on the field. Here's my thing with Russell Wilson. I think the Broncos went to Russell Wilson to push that injury guarantee down the line to keep him. I think if you don't have an injury guarantee in Russell Wilson's contract, I think the Broncos are actually keeping Russell Wilson. I think that injury guarantee plays a huge part of why they're not keeping him, because if he gets hurt next season, then they're guaranteed that money for 2025. So now you're locked into him. So if you don't have that agent guarantee, why would you not try to keep him? His dead cap hit goes down from 85 in 2024 to 849 in 2025. So even if they want to move on from him in 2025, that injury guarantee isn't there. They can move on from him and they can split that up like they're going to with 85, and it's a lot cheaper to get rid of him. So I think they actually went to him to try to keep Russell Wilson when they went to try to push down his injury guarantee. So that's I don't think that they're like, we're going to get rid of you. I don't think that was the case. I think they're just the injury guarantee plays in a big part in this.
Are you saying that they weren't looking to get rid of him as long as he gave up $37 million? Because that's a pretty good chunk of change to just be like, hey, we're not asking you to leave, but could you give us $37 million?
Well, they would have to cut him the next season, but you're still paying him regardless. I mean, the $37 million is his base salary for 2025. That's the money that's the injury guarantee. That's part of it. But if I don't think that they wanted to move off from him knowing they have to eat $85 million this season. Now, in 2025, it's a different story. I understand why Russell Wilson didn't do that, but I think that's why they wanted him to push it back so they could keep him, so they don't have to pay the $85 million in dead cap hit, because they know that that's a lot of money to eat. So I think that's big part of why Russell Wilson's not a Bronco, going to be a Bronco going forward is the injury clause in his contract. That's the biggest. It's the whole thing right here. It's not even just the money. I mean, the money in the injury clause, and that's the guarantee of longer term with Russell Wilson than they want to be. So that's why I'm saying it's the whole injury clause thing. I think it's the biggest thing, because they can move on from him down the line for cheaper than they would now.
Sure.
So now the relationship's done because, in my opinion, also because of everything going on. I don't think that either side trusts each other. That's why you're seeing this pairing split up the way they are. So
I agree.
He said to get a spark, if somehow Denver beats New England, does he make the switch?
No. This is the thing. I think we can all agree this is more just as much a business decision as it is a football decision. So there's so many things, strings and people involved and the whole 9 yards. I don't know. I honestly don't know, because I could totally see someone, GM, vice president of football operations, whoever it is, saying, we don't want to be on the line if he goes out there and gets hurt. We're not going to be playing him regardless. I could totally see that. And then who's in play there to say yes, no, voted on? I don't know what's going on behind the scenes. Patrick Wiltsey wants to know, though, and I'm going to start this one off with Albert. Simple. How would you guys have handled the Russ situation? So let's just say it's not even Halloween yet. Albert, nobody's contacted anybody about pushing a contract. Right now, we're looking at 2 years, $85 million. Basically, we could pay him basically $40 million each year. We can cut him and go down that path. But we haven't asked Russell Wilson or his agent or anybody to do anything. Patrick, that's where I'm rewinding it to, wants to know, how would you have handled the Russ situation heading into next year?
First thing, if you start talking contracts, you need to have the player on the table and not just his agent. And that is what happened. Russell Wilson was not there with the negotiations. And so the agents made the decision there and then from, nope, that's not what we're going to do. And I think that's where the biggest problem was.
Hmm.
If Russ would have been there, it might have gone completely different. I don't think that Russ is above all unreasonable, but his agents, it is his money that we are talking about now, because every contract that if it stakes, that agent gets more money, and if they start changing the contract, guess what? That agent is going to lose money, and that is what happened. And I think that is where the biggest problem started. Russ was not there with the negotiations, and they should make it required that the players are going to be there if there's going to be talks about contracts.
Some people hire that just for the opposite reason. They're too emotional. They can't handle the fact that there's going to be bad things said about them. They'll walk out of contracts when you should be at the negotiating table. But I understand where you're coming from. I think Russell Wilson is a veteran and he deserves the right. And who knows what that decision looks like, maybe if they're all sitting at the table together. I'm going to head over to you, Jody. Jody, it's like I said, Halloween hasn't even struck. We haven't said a word to Russ's camp as of yet. How would you have handled the Russ situation from here?
I would have started it off on.
I think we froze you for a second. Yep. We're going to see if Jody reloads here really quick. Internet can be a little bit tough. Go ahead, buddy.
I would start out with getting this relationship on a better foot, not coming out kissing babies and you're not running for office. And then the next day I go out and spill my guts to the media. That's where I would have started. And I wouldn't be this stubborn of a person that I'm willing to lose doing it my way than winning doing it some other way. If what he said is really true, all he cares about is winning, then I would have done things. I'm not asking him to adjust all of his coaching and all of the other stuff, but some of the play calling and different things. You sat, and I remember this last year, you sat on Colin Cowherd and said, and he was asked, how would you fix Russ? And he said, I would go and get a playbook of all of his best plays, and I would put that together, and that's how I'd run an offense with Russ. And he didn't do any of that. That was Sean Payton's words. I also, if you're going to go out and get blocking tight ends and a blocking left tackle or right tackle and a blocking left guard and all this, I am going to focus on the run and commit to the run.
They are number 8.
Yes, I understand. I understand that when I'm saying committing to the run, I'm talking you go out and you run the ball 30 times. Russ has 80 carries this year. You go out and run the ball 30 times and you commit to the run and you limit Russ to 20, 25 passes. There were multiple games that Russ was high 30s passing. That's not how Russ wins. And it was almost like, I'm going to go out there and show that he can't run my offense, and that's it, and I'm going to move on. And there was no middle ground. I'm not saying baby Russ or anything, but there needed to be some. What about the next guy that he drafts? He may not be great at the one thing. Move on to the next. He had a unicorn in Drew Brees that fit his system. Drew Brees is a top 10 all-time quarterback. That's where I would have started. And then seeing how that worked out. We've seen for 10 plus years, they won a lot of games in Seattle. Yes, they had a great defense, but it was all based around the run game and different things. I don't hold. Russ made mistakes last year, and that's on him. But I'll never forget. Russ got bad info in the very beginning that you can't run. The only way you're going to play till you're 45 is you have to stand in the pocket and this and that. Russ, that was bad. That was bad advice. That's not the type of quarterback he is. And he ran the ball. He got on the move. He needed to play like he was in Seattle. He never got hurt except for one fluke hand injury for 3 games. And that won him a lot of games. It won him a Super Bowl. Should have won him 2. And that's where I would have started. And then if it doesn't work, then you can say, hey, I adjusted to what you like or what fits you, and it didn't work.
Good points all the way around, man. This relationship did not start off good from the get. Thought it was going to be good. Heck, even when I guess Sean Payton did his airing of grievances, a lot of it was the fact that this isn't all Russell's fault. There's a lot of dirty hands. I was feeling that he was coming to the aid of Russ at that point and had high expectations. Russ came out, said he contacted Drew Brees, once he learned that Sean Payton was the coach, that they had a great relationship, that he was going to be, wanted to be coach hard. And, it sounded like, Russ wanted to make the offense of Sean Payton work as much as, you were saying the best way to fix Russ, according to Sean Payton, was to get it all his best plays and earn that. I guess to that, I would say maybe Sean Payton never did want to fix Russ, because maybe for whatever reason, you're saying that was his way to fix it and he never did it. That's the only thing I guess I can really say to that. I want to get over to
agree with that.
There you go. We come to an agreement. Not maybe that's been a little bit tougher for me and Jody as of lately, especially behind the scenes on all this Broncos camps that we're going through. Threw a lot of comments up on the screen, guys. I apologize. You guys are really blowing it up, so I am having to kind of get through some of these comments and some of these ideas. Trevor, I wanted to get over to you because I think you're my last one on, again, how would you have handled this Russ situation from the very beginning?
Well, I think I would have started, honestly, in the offseason when you hired Sean Payton. Again, the whole relationship between your quarterback and head coach, that's very, very important. And I think Sean Payton, one reason he took this job was because he's like, total ownership, okay, if I will do my best with Russell Wilson, but if I can't fix him, I'll need to move off from him within a year. I think that was absolutely on the table. And that's the same thing Ian Rappaport had put in his report in that article the other day. I think Sunday morning when he put that was part of the deal. And Sean Payton wasn't a big fan of Russell Wilson from the start. It's right there. Again, that raised a lot of red flags because you gave up a first and second round draft pick for Sean Payton. You gave up a premium. You didn't just hire this guy and not have to give up anything. You had to pay up for Sean Payton. So right there and then, if I'm ownership, I'm just already like, I don't know if I want this Sean Payton to be my head coach if I already have to. I have to pay you to come here, a premium for you, plus have to get rid of Russell Wilson and pay him $85 million in the next 2 years because you can't fix him. You can't find a way to fix him. The stats don't lie. PFF stats, overall, Russell Wilson, he's an average to above average quarterback. You say what you want. At times, yeah, he don't play well. Why are we trying to have Russell Wilson throw over the middle of the field? He doesn't do that. That's never been part of his career. Why are we trying to do? That's why I say, like, some people say, oh, he's trying to play for Russell Wilson's strengths. I'm not trying to stick up for either side. I'm just saying, middle of the field, that's not Russell Wilson's strengths. Go look at the heat map back when he's in Seattle. And so that's why I say it's just like it just seems like Sean Payton, while I don't believe he's 100% done with Russell Wilson because he's your quarterback too, and again, he gets hurt, you're in for him with 2025. I think part of the problem with this injury guarantee, trying to get him back, I don't know that, again, if he doesn't have that injury guaranteed for 2025, I think Russell Wilson, there's a good chance he's back next season. But I think, again, it's such a whirlwind, and just that starting off your head coach, he's not a big fan of your quarterback that you already have currently. And that's the thing is, you don't have your Russell Wilson's extension isn't even kicked in yet. He's still on the Seattle deal. So that's the thing. And you can't come in here and you tell me that give you flexibility after 1 year, you move on from Russell Wilson. What does that tell me as ownership? That's what I say. And if your ownership, Sean Payton has won, but he won with a Hall of Fame quarterback. So you want a head coach to come in here and try to help keep Russ for as long as you possibly can. Now, is that a year? I think you can keep Russ for at least another 2 or 3 years. So we have flexibility as a franchise. I think ownership just not being in the NFL long enough, I think has really hurt this whole situation. And again, that's why I'm so worried about Sean Payton being in charge going forward and having 100% belief in him because of what the Broncos, it's already going to potentially cost the Broncos already just to cut bait with Russ. And then again, you have no clear upgrade this offseason with limited cap flexibility and limited flexibility with the cap and cap room in general. So I just think it starts with ownership first when you hire Sean Payton.
See, that's where I'd like to be a fly on the wall to know what Sean Payton sold to the pinner, sold to this group for them to be okay. That we'll eat.
It might have been the opposite way around. It might have been the Penner Group selling Sean Payton on what he was able to do.
But 85 to. But in my opinion, for Payton to sell to this ownership group, that I can make this work, and I'm telling you, you eat $85 million, and that's okay. I would love to know what he said, what he sold them for owners that became billionaires to say, oh, okay, I'll listen to you and eat $85 million of a deal that's never even started because you're not willing to do anything to make it work.
It's
the
really
only way we can win is throw over the middle.
It's really simple. He's convinced them, right or wrong, that Russell Wilson can no longer win. And it doesn't matter, as a billionaire, you do not continue to dump money and do something that is going to be void of, any possible profitability if you look at it from a business standpoint.
Sure.
You don't want to continue to just dump money. So, right or wrong, that is what's happened. It has been decided by somebody, including the Penner Group, who has to cut the check, that this is no longer a profitable situation as far as outcome that you're paying for. Simple.
If or when Denver moves on from Russ and he goes somewhere else and has a Kurt Warner type season, whatever, what do they say to Sean Payton? Why could they make it work? You couldn't, and you cost us $85 million.
That's yet to be determined.
It is.
That would be rewinding. That would be rewinding multiple years for Russell Wilson to be performing at that level, especially if you're talking about Kurt Warner, greatest show on turf, right?
Sure. No, I'm Arizona Cardinals. I mean, he took them to a Super Bowl.
Yeah, using the same principles of an offense.
Something like that, though. I just, like you said, he convinced them, and I would just love to be a fly on the wall to know what he said to get the owners to say, okay, I back you. I signed this deal, and before it even kicks in, we'll move on, because I would just love to be a fly on the wall to know how you can convince someone like that.
Yeah, it would be 100% interesting and fantastic. We want to move on and push a couple other things into this show. I want to start off with Albert, man. We were moving on to the hated Raiders to finish up our season. Here we are, sitting at 500, possibility of having a winning season. It's been a while since we've been a winner, Albert, man. So what are you looking forward to in this Raiders game, and are you expecting a win?
Yeah, one of the comments earlier on was a question of what is more important now, higher draft pick or a winning season? And to me, we have to finish off with a win. We have to create at least an environment of a team that can win. We haven't had that for 6-7 years. We have not had a winning record, and we need to start creating a winning environment. And the one pick, what does it matter? Are we going to move 1 or 2 places up? I don't care about that. But a winning environment, I do care about, and we need to have this win. Not only to have finally broken the record with the Raiders as well, that they keep winning from us. Because how many wins do they have now in a row? 6 or 7?
I think it's 7,
And
if I
it is
remember correctly. Yep.
and it is time to change that up too. We don't want 16 or 17 times being beaten by the Raiders, like the Chiefs did. No, we need to have a winning record, and we need to beat the Raiders, and that is what I think.
Very good, bud. I like it, man. Gotta have the right mentality. Gotta change the culture. Gotta have the right mindset at some point with this team. Why not continue, win out the last couple of games of this season, and see if you can parse that over to next season as well. I like it, Albert. Heading over to you, Trevor.
Yeah.
Big game versus the Raiders. Winning season on the line. It's still the Raiders, guys. We still want to beat these guys. It's hated Raider week, as my good friend Jeremy said. So what are you expecting in this game? Does it tell you anything? And what do you want to see?
Yeah, I mean, I want to see this offense open up more. I want to see again. I understand running the football and trying to be a balanced attack, but we need to see it. You need to see what Jarrett Stidham can do. Let him throw the ball downfield again and not just run the ball all the time. This is about about having a trial on Jarrett Stidham and seeing him really truly evaluating your quarterback room going forward. You seen that with Russell Wilson. Now let's see it with Jarrett Stidham. This is again, we said this. These last 2 games are going to be a trial for Jarrett Stidham. Can he be the starting quarterback going into next season? We need to see that in this game. Look at the other side of the Raiders. They're going to be playing for Antonio Pierce and possibly playing for his job there. A lot of guys are playing for their jobs, so they're not going to be tanking. It don't matter draft watch right now. And while the organization will want probably to, I don't know if they want to win this game, because again, I think there's a pretty decent gap. I think from like 9 to I think it was 17, 16, 17, where Broncos could be in range of if they lose this game or win these games. And so organizationally, they probably want the higher draft pick, but these players and Sean Payton, they're going to want to win this game because it goes on their record as individuals. So they're going to want to play this game to win, and players are going to fight because again, a lot of these guys are playing for their jobs. And auditioning from the Broncos and for other teams. So I obviously want to snap that losing streak against the Raiders too. So that's going to be huge. I think you definitely want to win this game. Snap that losing streak. That's 2 losing streaks that you snapped this season in the division and the AFC West that you snap. That's great for a culture going forward. So you definitely want to win this game if you're the Denver Broncos.
I like it, buddy. Our good friend Kurt Valente is coming in here and saying, "What's up, boys?" Again, Stidham is a backup. Backups don't win in this league. He won last week, Kurt. He's looking to string another one together. Jody, Stidham is going to get the start, obviously. What are you looking for in this game? What are your expectations? What do you want to see?
I really don't have much expectations. Last week kind of left sour taste in my mouth. You really couldn't do anything against the depleted Chargers team.
Good point.
Raiders, playing hard for Antonio Pierce. But go get the win. We don't tank. You can draft whatever guy. If you fall in love with someone, you can give up whatever it takes to get up and get him. If that means PS2, Justin Simmons, if Caleb Williams is the next John Elway in Sean Payton's eyes, or Drake May, or whoever it is, you can make it happen. So it doesn't really matter if you're 8, 9, 10. You can move up and get what you want. Win in the streak to the Raiders. Like David said, finish 4-2 in the division, finish second in the record division. That hasn't happened in a long time. And pray that Sean Payton gets a quarterback next year and we don't have to ride with Stidham, and let start this future off with a new quarterback.
Yeah. I mean, guys, it's going to be a fantastic offseason. It'll be full of storylines once again. The Denver Bronco Roundup will be here all along the way. But, after this game wraps up, whether we find out whether we're 9-8 or 8-9, we'll then be turning the page for as far as the Denver Broncos are concerned to that offseason, all the moves that need to happen from there. Before we get out of this Raiders game or get out of this podcast, kind of moving on from this Raiders game, guys. The last thing I just wanted to go through, I know we don't have a ton of time because I have a lot of names, but I want to go through some of the free agents that might be saying goodbye after we finish up versus the Raiders, win or loss, and decisions to be made, guys. Obviously, we're looking at having a little bit of cap trouble no matter the situation. Need to be able to make some moves, whether Russell Wilson is here or not. Again, expecting that we'll need to make more moves if Russell Wilson is not here. But going to go through the list of name guys, and I'm going to go around the horn, try to make it as quick as possible. I'm going to start off with Albert on this one, and we'll just keep going round and round. Mr. Lloyd Cushenberry, Denver Broncos center, is a free agent. And rumors are that Lloyd Cushenberry would probably demand a pretty good contract, possibly a top 5 to top 7 contract in the NFL among centers. Certainly raised his stock this year as he didn't look like he was going to come in and even get an offer. What are your thoughts around Lloyd Cushenberry? Do we make an effort to re-sign him, even though it's going to be a big dollar contract, or do we move a different direction for our starting center?
Kush wants to get too much money.
We don't know that yet.
No, but the rumors are that he is wanting about $10 million a year, and there are other centers you can get at a level of Cushenberry or bring up to Cushenberry's level. There are centers to get, and Pearl said that the cap also will be raised. The rumors are also going on that the cap will be lower than last year. So it could be go down instead of going up. So then it definitely doesn't help. No, Kush is gone.
Kush is gone. And Kenny agrees with that as well. And David Slade saying, unfortunately, that's probably the case. He probably goes elsewhere. What are your thoughts, Trevor, on Lloyd Cushenberry? And then I'll head over to the judge.
Yeah, unfortunately, I think getting Mike McGlinchey, Ben Powers last offseason probably really kind of put the cap on Lloyd Cushenberry being here. I think he's gone to. I think he will ask for too much money, and Denver's cap situation just not in a good situation. Again, I don't understand they're wanting to cut Russell Wilson. They spent all that money last offseason on McGlinchey and Powers, and now, I mean, it's great in the moment when you get those guys, but then someone's going to be the fall guy and be out of here down the line. So that's what you're going to see with Cushenberry. I think he's gone somewhere else.
All right. Jody, your thoughts on Cushenberry, man?
Yeah, I think he's gone. He drafted a center for a reason in his first draft. Picked one up in free agency as well. So, yeah, I think Kush is gone. Unless he takes a hometown discount.
Unless that hometown discount comes around, man. It's tough to get paid. Albert's, as he alluded to, he could be looking at a fairly good contract. I don't know if he sticks around and tries to make it work here and take that hometown discount. And if that's the case, great point. Between drafting and free agents, we have a few centers available. Lloyd Cushenberry is likely gone. Jody, the outlaw Josey Jewell is a free agent. What are your thoughts on him?
Hopefully, in my opinion, gone. That's one of your weaknesses in the run game is your linebackers. You've paid Alex Singleton decent money this offseason, so I think that's probably my number 2 improvement on this team now that Russ is gone. Is you've got to upgrade that middle linebacker position.
Very good. Jody's looking like it's an easy part for Josey Jewell and the Denver Broncos. What are your thoughts, Trevor?
Yeah, I think Josey Jewell's probably gone. I think, again, you paid Alex Singleton a ton, and you drafted Drew Sanders last year. Then drafting Drew Sanders is probably the kind of showing the card of Josey Jewell being gone. So I think he's gone elsewhere. And again, you need to upgrade that position. You can't have that room get too old. And so I think you need to get a little bit younger at that position. And I think Drew Sanders is going to end up stepping into that role. But I also think that Denver will also address that, probably the draft or free agency, lower end in the free agency.
And Albert, man, what are your thoughts on the Outlaw? Has he seen his final days here in Mile High City?
I think so. Even although I think it would be a loss because he is that director in the backfield. If he is not there, Singleton is not as at his best. So yeah, I think he is gone because other teams are looking for a leader like him in the backfield.
Yeah, could certainly serve value on another team, but the Broncos have never really fell in love with Josie Jewell. I could see him being gone as well. I want to double up on this next one, putting two guys in a similar position, both on the table. I'm going to head Albert first, a guy we haven't seen a whole lot of this year because of injury, but a guy that we thought we were going to rely quite a bit. What are your thoughts on K'Wan Williams and also a guy that we brought in to shore up the cornerback room, Fabian Moreau? So K'Wan Williams and Fabian Moreau, what do you think on their fates?
I think both might stay. Even K'Wan Williams has proven what he can do, and Moreau has also proven it. And you can keep them for cheap. You can get them back for cheap, and so I think they might get an opportunity to play another year and prove themselves.
Very good. Put them both in the same boat. Maybe a possibility to get them both re-signed, bring them back. Not an expensive contract, according to Albert, and thinks we can make that work. I want to shoot over to the other corner. Jody, what are your thoughts on K'Wan Williams and Fabian Moreau?
It's a simple both gone. You drafted Riley Moss. Shaquan McMillan has solidified your starting slot cornerback. Both gone. I still think Davari Mathis will be here next year, whether you like that or not. He's still on a rookie deal for cheap.
Oh, there you go.
Look for something from Riley Moss. I've said cornerback 2 is a huge need for this team. Yeah, both gone.
Both gone. So we went from both here to both gone. Kenny's coming in saying Moreau's getting old. I think Williams stays. Moreau is gone. Trevor, what are your thoughts on these two, man?
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be difficult. I think, again, you need to see what you have on Riley Moss. You traded up for him, so that's a Sean Payton guy. He's got to see what you get out of Riley Moss. I think Moreau's probably back as a depth piece, but I think K'Wan's gone. But I think, again, we'll probably see Moreau if he doesn't get signed, probably down the line. Denver sign him for cheap, just for depth. Because, again, we're going to be so cap strapped, it's going to be really hard to really upgrade that. Maybe unless you do that in the draft. But I think Moreau probably back as a depth piece, but I don't think you'll see a ton of playing time from him. I think you need to see what you have in Riley Moss and get some other guys that I can see playing over Moreau going forward.
Very good. Michael Ronquillo brings in a name, and I'm going to double this one up as well. I'm going to start with you, Trevor. I'll go right back to you. PJ Locke, Justin Sternad. What do you think of those two guys? Again, what outcome, are they on the roster?
Yeah, I think PJ Locke. I think he has to be. I mean, you can't trust Caden Stearns to be available. His availability is really kind of just not been there since he's been a Denver Bronco, and honestly since he's been in college. So I think you have to bring back PJ Locke. I think he's one of those guys that, I mean, you got to do whatever you got to do to bring him back. And Sternad, I mean, I think you got to move on. I think unless you can if you can't find an upgrade from him, then I think you can bring him back as a depth piece. Again, goes the whole, all the way around where your cap strapped. So you're going to have to decide what positions you want to spend on, what not. Also the draft. I mean, the draft capital 6 picks total the Broncos have. So, I think Sternad, I think we move on. I think you've got to find an upgrade.
Very good, man. PJ Locke, Justin Sternad. What are your thoughts, Jody? Maybe we have Jody. He's
sorry.
There we go, buddy.
Caden Stearns, right?
I didn't have Caden Stearns, I apologize. That's a weird pairing. I understand. I got a little bit off track, but no, we're looking Justin Sternad and then PJ Locke.
I think PJ Locke because I think you try to this offseason go to Justin Simmons and extend his contract. That probably allows you to keep Simmons or keep Locke. One thing I don't like about that is that's exactly what they did in New Orleans, and at some point you have to pay that bill, and it's when Sean Payton bailed. Justin
Possibility.
Strnad, if you can keep him on the cheap, I guess he's a good special teams player. Really doesn't see much time on defense. If you can get him for cheap, he's probably a core special teams guy.
Fair enough. Albert, your thoughts on Justin Strnad and PJ Locke?
Yeah, I like to see them both coming back. Stannard, he has been injured too much, but I would give him an opportunity. If he can stay healthy, he could be a very viable weapon. And yes, Locke has already proven himself, and he deserves. I think he deserves a contract. And so, yeah, keep them both.
I would love to see a way to get Locke done. I like the idea of Justin Simmons extension, maybe helping to pay for that. That was a good call. Justin Strnad, I'm here nor there on. If you can get him on the super cheap and he can be a special teams guy, sure. Otherwise, I think it's fine if you end up moving on from Justin. So, want to hit this one, guys. There's a couple in here that I want to hit. I'll hit this one all by itself. Albert, little Jordan Humphreys.
Hey, if you can get him for the cheap, maybe in the same contract that he's played for this year, keep him, because when he is in the field, he does make plays, and he doesn't get many snaps, but when he does, and he gets the ball, he makes plays, and yeah, I like to see him play a year longer. Yep.
Okay. Humphreys for you, Trevor.
Yeah, I think he's a Sean Payton guy. I think Payton loves him. I think Humphrey can be around. I think he showed out better than Jared Jeudy did this last game. So I think a little Jordan Humphrey. I think he's back. I think it's a depth piece for sure.
Okay. And Jody, your thoughts on Humphreys?
Yeah, I would try to bring him back. To be honest, he's probably been your second most reliable receiver all year. We don't use him correctly, but yeah, he's probably been your second most reliable receiver. So
Giving him the nod. I like it, man. You hit that you were all about Josie Jewell getting the heck out of town. I'm going to give you a blast from the past and a guy that the Broncos said that they were going to be relying on quite a bit prior to the injury. What are your thoughts on Jonas Griffith, who's a free agent, Jody?
He kind of falls in that Tim Patrick boat, not as deep, but I mean, he was injured 2 years ago and then missed all of this year. 2 years away is a lot. Arm and then knee, or elbow then knee. So I would say he's probably gone.
Gone as Jonas Griffith, according to Jody. I mean, there's going to be some difficult decisions that we have to make, guys, in order to make cap numbers work by all intents and purposes. So, Trevor, does Jonas Griffith fill the hole left by Jewell, or do we have to find another route altogether?
Yeah, I think you're probably going to move on. Again, you just can't rely upon him to stay healthy. So I think he's probably gone. Unfortunately, he would have been a guy that you could have, back in the past when he was healthy, he was a guy that you're talking about, being right there where Jewell's spot is at. So I think that he's probably gone just because different coaching staff, and you need to find a way to upgrade position. You need to find durability there. So I think he's gone probably.
All right, and Albert, going to go all the way back around. What are your thoughts, buddy?
Bye. Just simple. Bye.
Bye-bye.
The best ability is availability, and he has not shown that. And even though I like Tim Patrick really well, but yeah, if you from 35 games and you play maybe one, you're not there. So yeah we can use you.
Okay. Very good, man. Yeah, not talking about cut candidates, that would be a Tim Patrick type of situation. We might hit that on another episode. But free agents that are just around the corner, I'll double up on this one. I'll hit Jody. I'll go the same route again. Jody, what are your thoughts? Cam Fleming and Quinn Bailey.
I'm gonna say both probably gone. I think Denver likes what they have in I don't know how you pronounce his name, Alex
Palczewski.
Pacheski. They've kept him on the 53. They activated him.
Mm.
I think that can be your swing tackle. And then Quinn Bailey, I think that role can be filled by Wantberg. Forsythe will be here next year. There's some other guys that can fill that role. So I would say both probably gone. If one stays, probably Quinn Bailey, because Denver was pretty quick to sign him in the offseason.
I'll just quickly, I'll put my 2 cents in. I agree with Jody 100%. Trevor, what are your thoughts, man?
Yeah, I mean, again, this is the part of where you're going to have to see what this team does in the draft and free agency. I think that honestly, I'd probably just get rid of both. I think Palczewski's a guy that can be here, and they really like. But Quinn Bailey hasn't been great. So I mean, yeah, they were quick to sign him, but when he's been there, he hasn't been great. So I think that you're probably looking at this team going a different direction, the offensive line, and I think both are probably gone.
Very good. And Albert, what are your thoughts on these two?
Yeah, I think a little differently. I would say keep one of them for the cheap, because you always can use a veteran for the rookies to train them and to teach them, to be a leader for them. And when you do need them for 1 or 2 plays, let them go in, and just keep one of them. I don't care which one of the two, but as long as you can keep one of them for cheap, you have a veteran leader in the locker room.
Yeah, guy who knows the scheme, can help bring it along in the next year. A lot of times you see those guys brought over, even if they're not performing at their very best, they can be a guy in the locker room. Be interesting to see if Denver can feel like they can afford guys like that. I think they'll need to just field a lot of players and make sure that they're getting the best bang for their buck. So I got 2 more for you guys, maybe 3. I'm going to go 3. First one, we'll just go rapid fire on this. Albert, Adam Troutman, does he come back next year?
Yes.
Yes, Adam Troutman, yes. Very good. Yep. Adam Troutman for you, Trevor, did he show enough?
I'd say no. I think you have Manhurts on the roster already, and I think they're going to address tight end this offseason, so I think no.
Very good. Jody, your thoughts on Troutman?
Well, I don't think he showed enough, but that's Peyton's boy from New Orleans, and he'll be back. We traded a pick for him.
We did swap a pick, if I remember correctly. We went 6th and 7th. That's right. In order to get Troutman, so we traded a pick in order to get him. I still think that he could be moved on from. It really depends on how we do address in the draft. Tight end is obviously a place that we could have some needs, as Michael Ronquillo's coming in and saying as well. Just as a reminder, 2024 season could be tight end Greg Dulcich's last chance to show the Broncos he can stay healthy for 18 NFL games. So, and also coming in here and saying tight end Lucas Kroll is a keeper. And I think at the dollar that we'd be looking at, absolutely. Next one, rapid fire real quick, guys. Start with you, Albert. What are your thoughts on Michael Burton?
Michael Burton, I think he's a keeper. He has done enough for me in the backfield. He has scored, and I think he's even scored a touchdown. And I think he's a keeper, especially if you can keep him for low contract cost. He has done enough for me to keep him, he's very, very valuable there.
Yeah, I agree, man. Filled in admirably as a fullback in this situation. What are your thoughts, Trevor?
Yeah, you probably keep him again fullback. I mean, you really don't need to probably spend on that. I think there's a lot of other positions of need for this team this offseason. I think fullback. I think Burton's fine.
Very good, man. Stay the course. What are your thoughts, Jody, on Burton on this one?
I'm not really sure what the point of keeping him is. You don't use him when you run the football most of the time. You don't commit to the run, so why have a fullback here? You could go get another playmaking tight end or somebody, and one of those guys can hop in the backfield and block the 2 or 3 times that he's used as a true fullback.
Interesting point. Last one, I'll go to you then, Jody, and then this will be our end of our free agent list. We'll wrap up and get some final thoughts and get out of here. Will Lutz is going to be a free agent. What are your thoughts on Will Lutz?
I think you got to bring him back. He's been pretty solid. What's he missed? Three kicks this year. You traded picks for him. he's done nothing but been solid for you this year. Yeah, I think you have to. And I mean, Peyton was willing to move on from your second best kicker in franchise history to get this guy who's like the last 4 years were down, 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 and turn it around. So I'm pretty sure that that's going to be high.
Very good. Pearl's agreeing. Keep Lutz as well. What are your thoughts, Trevor?
Yeah, I mean that's again Peyton traded for him, so you went on on a limb and traded for Will Lutz and see what he had, and I think he's been solid all year. I don't see a reason to make a change at kicker. I think you keep Lutz.
And Albert, your thoughts on Will Lutz, man? I know that there was a little bit of trepidation as we started the season, but certainly ironed it out. What are your thoughts?
I believe that at the moment, Lutz is a top 3 kicker, so definitely keep him.
I appreciate it, man. I was trying to get a lot of comments, guys, but one that I did miss, and I know that I missed. Ernie Mays came in here, and he's always been a great supporter. I appreciate it, Ernie. He says, "Go Broncos country only." Hello, favorite podcasters. Of course, I got to find that one and give you a shout back on it. I appreciate it so much, Ernie. Gentlemen, like I said, it's a roundup of the season. We'll have a lot of. We'll be saying goodbye to maybe a few of these guys. A few of the names, just really quick, that I may not have mentioned: Mike Purcell, Jonathan Harris. Let me see. I think Ben Neiman, Dwayne Washington, and Ronnie Perkins. Those are all names that are also free agents that we didn't get to. So you could be saying goodbye to them as well. That being said, gonna hit Jody. Jody, what final thoughts getting out of here,
man? Another disappointing season, really, for me. I had high hopes. Ready to see what our plan is at quarterback next year. Praying it's not Jared Stidham, because that's not going to win you games. That's not going to take you anywhere. I'd rather go get a first-round pick and watch him take all his lumps and develop, and sit him. And I guess this is hard for me to say, but in Peyton we trust until I'm going to give him a chance to get his quarterback. But if that quarterback is Jared Stidham, then I can't be on that train. But if he goes in, whoever he gets in the first round, there's a bunch of them that have put up big numbers in college. So
opportunity there.
I will say one thing, and I don't know if anyone caught this last night. They did say, because I've been seeing all these memes today of Michael Penix in a Broncos uniform, that I think it was over 2,500 of his passing yards this year have been outside the numbers, for what that's worth.
Very good. Very good. I appreciate that, man. We'll be talking a ton of offseason, man. And hopefully it's looking up. It's looking positive. Appreciate, man. I could hear the grinding of the teeth as I heard in Peyton We Trust. But that's where we're at, man. And I appreciate you, Jody, coming on here and being part of the show. Trevor, your thoughts, final thoughts as we get out of here, man.
Yeah, I mean, listen, we're right. We're just there's so much to unwind again with this with the Broncos team. And it's just again, just we're gonna have to unpack it show by show, day by day, because there's always something new, and there's gonna be a lot more to talk about. Russell Wilson situation, Denver situation going forward. It's gonna be a long off season. Again, I just hope that the Broncos are active and just trying to improve. If you say we won about Russell Wilson, then we'll see how they improve this offseason. Again, I still keep an eye on Jameis Winston. I think that's a guy that Peyton, if Stidham doesn't prove against the Raiders that he can be a guy that can run this offense efficient, then I think that Peyton will go out and get a guy who can, and that's Jameis Winston. And that was just one season. That was Peyton's last season in New Orleans. I'm still going to be on that Jameis Winston train. Am I a big fan of it? Not necessarily, but I think that's a connection that I could absolutely see Peyton going to, if he indeed move on from Russell Wilson. But again, hopefully the Broncos get this win against the Raiders, and better times hopefully ahead. Again, Peyton, we trust. And with Jody, it's a little hard to kind of nail that down right now, but we'll see what happens. It's definitely going to be a ride for sure this offseason.
Absolutely, man. Looking forward to this ride. We've been going on a few as of lately, but the next ride is right around the corner as we head into the off season. Hopefully, we ride off into the sunset, in my opinion, with a 9-8 season and a win over the Raiders. But before we ride out here, I got to get to our good friend Albert Dutchy, get his final thoughts on tonight's show and for Broncos country.
I thought tonight's show was a good show again. Good comments in from the audience as well, and I do not agree with Trevor and Jody. I do not trust Peyton because he hasn't come through with what he said what he would do, and what he looked like he was going to do. So I do not trust him at the moment. I want to thank everybody who was in the chat for helping us, keeping the show very active and alive. And those comments are always a benefit for us. I want to give thanks to Kenny, Michael, Roger, Roy, Pearl, my lovely wife Michelle, Jeremy, Patrick, David, Clayton, James, Kurt, and Ernie. And by the way, Matt, Staffiero, and Jennifer Valenti, they were both watching as well. Thank you all, and Happy New Year.
Yeah, man. Didn't even come in here with a Happy New Year. That's how bad I was. I did want to say thank you to Jeremy, who came in here, said thank you guys, go Broncos, and whoop the Raiders. Wanted to say thank you to Michael Ronquillo coming in here, saying great show, Keith, Jody, Albert, and Trevor. Big hearts. Broncos countries are the best fans in the NFL. Go Broncos. Yeah, we are the best fans. We need to remember that. I know it's tough right now, but hey, Broncos fans through and through, guys. Rogers coming in here, giving us some love, saying, great show again, guys. I don't trust Peyton at all at this point. Until next time, thank you, boys. Well,
I don't trust
thank you
him
very
either.
much.
I don't trust him either. I'm just saying we have no choice but to trust Peyton, but I don't trust him. Be clear, I don't trust him either. We have no choice but to trust him. That's the difference. That's where I'm at. But thank you everybody for being part of the show. I forgot to tell everyone that. So thanks for everybody for joining the show. I can't wait to see you on Friday.
Trevor, he wants to make sure that we need to clarify our statements. There is no trust, according to Trevor. make sure that's on the record, Trevor. Boy, goodness, jump back in there. Obviously there is some trust somewhere. There's some trust somewhere, guys, and I'm hoping that it's well-placed trust. Let's put it that way. I think that's kind of where Trevor's getting at the heart of it as well. Not putting his own opinion into it. Hey, man, let's hope that the trust that is being put forth is worth it. So I know this, guys. I trust that we have some of the best fans out there, guys, and I appreciate you guys so much for being a part of the Denver Bronco Roundup. I appreciate your unwavering support of this show as we've continued to grow and get bigger. We've now are starting to stack years as far as the Denver Bronco Roundup, which is just crazy to think about as well. You guys are fantastic. Just a quick shout out again. Head on over to the Rocky Mountain Sports Network, guys. That is who sponsors us, who you're brought to you by. It's the heart and soul of who the Denver Bronco Roundup is. It's our parent company, quite honestly. So, guys, Rocky Mountain Sports Network covers all your Colorado sports, whether it be Avalanche or Nuggets, whether it be the Rockies or the Broncos. Check out RockyMountainSN.com. That's RockyMountainSN.com. You can also check out Rocky Mountain Sports Network on Facebook, YouTube, and over on X. Guys, also remember, when it comes to the Denver Bronco Roundup, we're now available on Apple Podcasts. We're now available on Spotify. So take us with you guys. Jump on over there. Make sure you're getting that all the likes, shares, subscribes, you're following, and then that way you're always notified whether we're going live and you can see us on the screen, or whether we're going live and you're going to go ahead and catch us on the run, pick us up later, and on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, guys. So, guys, I appreciate it so much. Again, we're going to continue our regular broadcast of shows through the end of the season. So our original show, the OG show that you're watching right now, Tuesday, 7 p.m. Check us out always then. Of course, we have our pregame show Friday, 7 p.m. as well. And then we have a postgame show right after the game. Of course, that'll be on Sunday. That'll be our final postgame show as well, as far as that is concerned, guys. Make sure you're tuning in. Make sure you're like, sharing, subscribing. Make sure you're part of the show. We appreciate you guys so much. Again, a fantastic, fantastic Happy New Year. And let's go ahead and get out of here. Make sure you keep your feet in your stirrups, your guns in your holsters, and the Denver Broncos in your heart. Until next time, we're out of here. Thank you guys so much. Good night.